Peace, everybody. What's going on? Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all. How y'all doing? Hope y'all doing good. Get the music down here a little bit. How's everybody? I hope you are doing well. Hope your family's doing well. I hope your prosperity is doing well. I hope you're achieving all the wealth, the peace, the prosperity, the good health, all that you desire. Um, Tonight's show is about Noah's trustee's duty. So we're going to read from Genesis chapter 6 tonight. I know I was supposed to continue last week's, but I diverted. I will continue last week's lesson and go over it. I will continue pick that up, but I felt it was important that we understand that trust is important for our existence in this corporate America that we live, because everything that you are touching or experiencing is a trust. Even the money you hold says, "In God we trust." And I'm going to hold a 3-day seminar, 3 days webinar, whatever you want to call it, going over trust and how important it is over 3 days. And the things that you can do, because it's time to dispel these discharge myths again. I always do it every year, but this time I'm going to go even heavy and show you how you should be doing your recoupment, aka discharge. I don't like using discharge because everybody and their mother in this space is always talking about discharge, HJR 192, all this nonsense. And I don't want to be associated with stuff that don't work. Just last week, someone got their recoupment. They got their funds. They recouped on some things that they did last year, and they got rewarded for it. And this is why I'm doing Genesis chapter 6, because in Genesis, guess what? Noah recouped. He discharged his sins and he recouped. Why? Because I'll read it. I'll read through it and break it down to you. How it's been right in front of our face, how we're supposed to be setting up our business, how we're supposed to be operating in trust. And if I have time, I'll go over the meaning of an exemption trust and what that means. Because you'll start to see none of this stuff that you call yours is really yours. It should never really be yours. And this is the reason why it's causing you trouble. Because you're claiming things as yours when you shouldn't be. You came in this world with nothing, and guess what? Physically, you're going to leave with nothing. But that's how you're supposed to be operating your whole life. Owning nothing. Controlling everything. If you could understand what Warren Buffett was really talking about, you will understand how powerful that one statement is. Being in control. Because there's only one owner to all of this stuff. There's only one owner. And that's God. He owns it all. It's all his. We're just making use of it. We are in control of it. We have dominion over it. We are, retrospect, trustees and beneficiaries. See, one got to be the trustee and the rest got to be the beneficiaries of this trust that was set up for us. This heavenly trust, this ecclesiastical trust, this religious trust, whatever you want to call it. All right? So, let's see who's in the chat before I go in. We got Corinne. She's happy Tuesday. 75816 says a blessing. Thank you. And Hindsight Radio says peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all. Kind of just rushing and type that really fast. Church of Infinite Abundance. Yes, I got a new channel. Go over there and become a subscriber, because I'm separating the ministry from Hindsight Radio. So I'm going to be running two different things. But I do stream on both of them. but I'm gonna separate it and make it one unit over there. I'm building something. That's the new channel, Church of Infinite Abundance. Go in there and become a subscriber. Help me get there. Disciple Ministry says peace, brother. And C King Bay says peace, everyone. We got a low number on here tonight. Maybe if I said Noah's discharging debt, they'd be here. You know how it is. People cling to the things, when they want something free. And I already said, I did a video earlier how anybody who into the discharge and trying to just get something by just filling out some paperwork, most of these people have, broke mentalities. I even had it. I had that one time. I was all gung-ho about discharge. Then I realized, and I woke up, I said, I can't just go and become wealthy. And so you don't have to worry about stuff like that. Do it the right way through your trust. That's why everything I got that I control is in a trust. My car is in a trust. My lights, my gas, my electricity, everything's in a trust. I pay through trust. Yeah. I don't have any ownership of anything. I still own a home in my name because I bought it back in 2002 and still, but I've been lollygagging. I got to go throw that in the trust. You can put a house in the trust even though you have a mortgage on it. We'll talk about that another time. All right. Let's get into this. Let me take a swig. I'm back into my drinking thing. Got my cha-cha over there. I might have to get up and fill this up. But I'm back. I'm sipping. Yes, I'm a sipping minister, a sipping preacher. Go ahead and judge me. I don't care. Let's share this screen. I kind of took it off. Hang on. Sometimes I'll be jumping around and I'll take stuff off. Quick, fast, in a hurry. And my cameras was acting up. Okay, let's share this. Genesis 6. There it is. Right there on the screen. Let's see how we're looking over here. Make sure it's right the way I want it. Let's put me down there. Let's take that off the screen. Let's enlarge it a little bit. See how that looks. Enlarge. Good. All right. Let's skip down to where it says Noah and the flood. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I want you to take notice of the numbers. So he said he had 3 sons. So what does the number 3 denote here? Number 3 conveys the meaning of completeness, though to a lesser degree than 7. It appears 467 times in God's word. It derives its symbolism from the fact that it is the first of 4 spiritually perfect numerals, the others being 7, 10, and 12. So 3 is a perfect spiritual number. And they use 3 all throughout the Bible, right? So these numbers are meaning something, right? Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. So since man was given the authority to have dominion, they breached their trustee duties. They were supposed to live abundant, peacefully, joyfully, and they breached their trustee duties. So right now, God is about to revoke their trustee privileges and punish them for it. Isn't that don't they do that in regular trust? If you breach your trustee duties on a trust, you can be charged with a crime. So, same situation here. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long. So there's the number 3 again. It said 300, 3 plus 0, 0 plus 0, it comes out to 3 all over again. 50 cubits wide. So 50 cubics, that's the number 5, right? The number 5 symbolizes God's grace, goodness, and favor towards humans. This is interesting how these numbers are lining up. And 30 cubits high, another 3. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. So it says 1 cubit. Let's see that. I didn't look that one up. Let's see what 1 means. The number 1 is only divisible by itself. It is independent of any other number, yet composes them all. Its meaning in the Bible centers on the unity and primacy of God family being one. Okay, that's what the number 1 means. Where was I? Make roof for it, leaving below the roof and opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I'm going to bring flood waters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has the breath of life in it, everything on earth will perish. So he gave Noah a job. He gave him a job. He had a job to do. And that was his trustee duty. You were entrusted to build this. So that what? What are you building it for? He was building it to save his family, save himself, so that mankind can continue on. Now let's relate this to ours today. Let's put it in perspective of what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be building an ark of prosperity, an ark of unlimited wealth, an ark of peace. We're supposed to be building. Men, I'm talking to you, men. You're supposed to be building all this for your family. So ask yourself a question. What are you building? Are you building for yourself? What are you really building right now? That so that you could have something for your family. God gave us the job of building. Isn't that kind of interesting? Most of the building jobs are done by the masculine men. The structuring, the paving of roads, all that's mostly done by who? The masculine energy. So that's our job. We're supposed to be building. Now, this building that Noah is doing was commissioned to him by the divine mastermind. Hey, this is what you need to do because I am going to get rid of all other distractions. I'm getting rid of anything that's causing problems right now on the earth today. And you're going to be the only ones left to carry on. Okay? Here we go. Everything, but I will establish my covenant with you. Here we go. Covenant. What does the word covenant mean? Covenant. This word covenant is mentioned in the Bible so many times. It's an agreement, a contract, a compact, a treaty. This was a covenant between them that her name was never to be mentioned. This is one of the examples here. Agreed by lease deed or other legal contract. That's the verb. Noun. The noun meaning is contract, compact, treaty, pact, accord, deal, bargain, settlement, protocol, agreement, arrangement, pledge, indenture. What does indenture mean? A legal agreement, contract, or document. So God made a contract with Noah. He said, I'm going to make a covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, and you and your sons and your wife and your son's wife with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures made, male and female, and to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store away as food for you for them. Noah did everything just as God commanded it. So think about it. He had to build the ark. He had to gather together the animals and get them in there. He had a lot of work to do. That was part of the agreement. That was part of the covenant. Do this, and I'll make a covenant, and I will keep my end of the bargain if you keep your end of the bargain. Again, I'm gonna ask you, fellas, what covenants do you have? What agreements? What trust do you have set up? I'm telling you, if you just working every day and you don't have your trust set up for your family, it's very important that y'all have irrevocable trust set up. When I get to this, the meaning of an exemption trust, this will bring it all home. Because basically, this is what this is. This is an irrevocable trust that God created for as long as Noah fulfilled his duties. Not only would he benefit from his family in generations to come, and as we can see, still generations to come are benefiting. Those that keep these commandments do. You know, a lot of times while we're not benefiting is because we are not doing what this says. All right, here, you know what? I want to read something, because the numbers are different. See, that's why you have to have more than one Bible. You have to have more than one, because in this Bible, it actually specifies let me see if I can find it. It actually broke down 7 pairs of clean animals and 1 pair of unclean animals. It see here, I'm not going to take my time to look for it, but it had different numbers in different Bibles. That's why I tell you, a lot of people say, oh, the Bible's this and that. Man, depending on what version you get, it's going to have something different written in there, which tells you that man has tampered with these teachings. So you're not getting the full picture here. That's why you have to have more than one. I think I got one. I can see right in my field of vision, 1, 2. I see two Bibles here, and I know I got about 4 or 5 downstairs. That's why I read different Bibles, because you're not going to get the full understanding just reading one Bible. They'll switch it up on you, because I have numbers down here. It said in the Bible that I was reading earlier, because I wasn't reading from the computer, it says 7 pair of clean, 1 pair of unclean, 7 pairs of bird. So the 7, that's a number, that's a holy number, a number of completion. So let's go to chapter 7. The Lord then said to Noah, go into the ark, and you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. So he fulfilled his contract with God. He said, I found you. You're worthy. Take with you 7 pairs. There it is right there. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate. And also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. So let's look at that word, the 40. 40. The meaning of the number 40. Mentioned 146 times in scripture, the number 40 generally symbolizes a period of testing, trial, or probation. So with the rain, that was a period of testing. During Moses' life, he lived 40 years in Egypt and 40 years in the desert before God selected him to lead his people out of slavery. So isn't that interesting? Noah had 40 days, 40 nights of rain. Moses had 40 years in Egypt and then 40 years in the desert before he could lead the people out of slavery. Now, if you want to break these numbers down, 4 and 0, that 4 plus 0 is 4. Then you go back to that 4 again. The number 4 derives its meaning in the Bible from creation. On the 4th day, what was called creation week. Because what's happening? Everything's about to start over. And then you take 40, 40, add that together. You have 80. 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 comes up to the number 8 represents a new beginning, meaning a new order or creation. Man's true born again event. This was a born again situation because 8 people, because it had Noah and his wife, his 3 sons with their wives. It's a total of 8. See, these things are not written by accident the way they are. Okay? So, then Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. He was already 600. And now and Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds, and of all creatures that move around along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened, and rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Now, let's take this to today. If you're not properly managing your estate, guess what's going to happen? The government going to come and take it. They're going to tax it heavily and take your money that you worked hard for. See, the ark represents a covering, a protection, a shelter. And that's what a trust is. It's a shelter for your assets. It's a shelter from you. Just say you had a terrible accident. And if everything's in your name, guess what? They're taking it all. But if it's not and an irrevocable trust has it, can't touch it because it doesn't belong to you. See, we should not be making claim to anything. We should only be taking control. That's it. Taking control of your assets. Because you cannot be taxed if you're not earning any money in that social. See, most people, they teach you, get your social, go get a job, fill out the W-2s. You see the trap? Because now every time you work, you got to give them a portion of that. Why? Because you use their number. You didn't set up anything to protect yourself. Well, how do I get around? You need to be a person who owns or has control of the business. Because the only way to true wealth and prosperity is to control a business. That's the only way. You're not going to be able to control nothing with a job. You're not going to achieve any type of wealth with any type of employment. I'm sorry. Only thing you're going to achieve with that is I guess some people would put it, comfortable life. And it takes a long time to build that. A long time. Whereas if you're creating your own business and stuff like that, yeah, it depends on you how long it takes. But it's really a fact that it's easier to make a lot of money in a short amount of time than it is to make a little bit of more money. It takes a long time to make that little bit of money because you're getting that salary every week, 2 weeks, whatever, and you got to budget it, all of that. And you're so honed in on budgeting and how much you're spending. I can't go out here. I can't go here because this is all I'm making. This is it. This is my ceiling. What God offered Nova, there is no ceiling. On the very day Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, into the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kind, every creature that moves along the ground according to this kind, every bird according to this kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and into the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. He protected him. Now, you notice it didn't say female, female, male, male. It said male and female because that was the only thing that can continue life. I know that the narrative they're trying to push right now, or that they are pushing, not trying, that they are pushing all these different terms they want to use. Male and female. It was male and female of all kinds. That was the only thing that was going to continue the life on, continue things to grow. Growth comes from the union of the male and female in everything. I'm sorry. Some of y'all don't like what I just said. Growth in life come only from male and female. Period. Okay, everything else is man's idea of what they want and what they desire. Okay? For 40 days, the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and the high mountains under the entire heavens was covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to the depth of more than 15 cubits. That comes out to the number 6. Every living thing that moved on land perished. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died, and every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that moved along the ground and the birds were wiped off the earth. Only Noah was left and those with him in the ark. So only those who abide by the contract that was part of the contract survived. Everybody else, like, let's just put it in context of what we're dealing with here. Everybody else that is not setting up trust, setting up their shelter, their ark, is heading for a disaster one day. Just think about it. If you don't do it, what happens to your possessions after you die? If you don't have a written trust or a will, what they call it, which is another form of a trust, it has to be argued about. It has to be decided by who? The court, probate court. But if you have all this in place, you don't have to worry about probate court. You don't have, everything's done. Everything's already arranged. Only thing that has to happen, whoever's the administrator has to follow the wishes of the grantor. And in this case, God was the grantor. And Noah was the trustee. And his family was the beneficiaries. Actually, Noah held both positions, trustee and beneficiary at the same time. Because why? He got to benefit from all the provisions of God. And once Noah dies, guess what? Someone else steps into that. Usually the old eldest son steps into the trustee position to control everything. Isn't that the birthright of the firstborn? Yeah, that's also talked about in the Bible. That's how wealth is continued on. See, we as men are not doing what we're supposed to. We're not we don't know about this, and we're not using these techniques. And so when we got, who do we pass it on to? There was no argument. Whoever was the firstborn was to get it and control it and take care of the family. We are so lost and so far away from our traditions. Then chapter 8 of 8. It's funny how chapter 8, which is new beginnings, that's the symbolic meaning of it. It says, but God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock that were with him in the ark, and he sent wind over the earth. Now here's the new beginning. And the waters receded. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens that had been closed, and the rain has stopped falling from the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth at the end of the 150 days. The water had gone down. And on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. Remember I told you about those words? I said 3. I looked at 3, and it said 7, 10, and 12 mark completeness. And in this, it's talking about this, using those numbers again. 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month. So basically, think about this when you're setting up your trust and set up anything. You should be looking at these numbers. What month, what day are you actually executing these documents? Trust me, the government knows what time it is. They know for sure. What day? You should be purposely setting up your documents to align with these numbers. 7, 10, 12, 3. Yeah. Now, remember, the months are off here. So you're going to have to find out what the original month is. Like October should really be the 8th month. December is supposed to be the 10th month. Okay. So the 10th month, according to this, was December. After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground, but the dove could not find nowhere to perch because there was water all over all the surface of earth. So it returned to the Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand, took the dove, and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in his beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. And Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. So they waited a lot of days. By the first day of the first month, Noah's 601st year, the water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. And God said to Noah, come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so that they can multiply in the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it. So one of the main purposes is to multiply. And the narrative that they're pushing today is not to get you to multiply. It's actually to get us to decrease. It's the opposite. Someone was asking about this whole Antichrist thing. I said the Antichrist is I don't believe it's a person. It's the mentality of people who are anti-Christ mindsets. Anything that has that has everything against growth, prosperity, multiplication, multiplying, having dominion. That's anti-Christ. It's a mentality. It's a way of thinking. It's a mindset. That's what I really want to say. So Noah came out together with his son and his wife and his sons, all the animals, all the creatures that moved along the ground, and all the birds, everything that moves on land, came out of the ark, one kind after another. And then, as soon as he come out, what did he do? Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of human heart is evil from childhood, and never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. That's another promise, another trust, another covenant. Day and night, season, never cease. So far, that has played out. This is the way it is. So anybody that's thinking, oh, we're heading for this doom and the whole plan's going to get destroyed, that's antichrist thinking. Because the Christ mindset is saying that the earth will never cease to exist. Now, the generations of the wicked-minded, the Antichrist, they will cease to exist. But back to the whole topic. Before Noah could be given all of these promises, he had to put in work. So if you think you're going to get wealth, you're going to get your prosperity without work, you're just going to fall into it, not going to happen. And let me take a sip. Men, not going to get it without the work, putting in the work and preparing a place. Your job is to prepare a place, prepare yourself so that you can, if you want a family, a wife, all they have to do is move into those provisions. A woman that deserves it, of course. See, this world got everybody thinking antichrist thinking. The women think they got to do it all because they feel like the men ain't doing enough. And they believe in all these men. All men are not reading. They're reading 3rd and 4th grade levels and all this stuff. They're not producing. They're not making enough money. Yeah, if you watch the news and all that stuff, you believe in that antichrist mentality. But I can tell you, I know plenty of men who are doing it and doing it good and doing it big, taking care of their families. And I know single men who are having prosperity for themselves. It is not the job of the female or the woman to carry the weight of this outside world. Let me help you understand something. If you watch how the masculine creative thing, he did everything on the outworldly sense. That's the masculine. But the feminine is an internal power. That's why you see most men, they're building in houses and doing all the heavy lifting and construction. Yeah, not saying that women can't do that if they choose to, but it's not ideal. Most women don't want to do that type of work. Most women don't want to go out down there and build a sewer or do plumbing work and be in an attic under houses. They don't want to do that. Most. I mean, I worked at Time Warner. We had one woman who wanted to do cable. One out of hundreds of positions, because it's not a job that women tend to want to have. We have our place in how we do things. Men, you are supposed to be obeying the commands of what it says, building, creating an infrastructure for your family. You see that all over. You're supposed to create an infrastructure of financial protection, physical protection for your family. And all women comes in to help enhance that. What happened? Look at the Garden of Eden. Adam had to work for years before he even got a mate. before he was qualified to get one. He had to put in work, and then the woman was brought in. Well, I know all of this is symbolisms, but it's really, if you look at the world, that's how it really works. And anything that works opposite of that, it doesn't work. Marriages are not lasting because we're not working in that dynamic. Relationships don't say, because everybody is trying to do or work outside of their what they were created to do. You know, when you are living a good life, when you feel like, when you know you are in the space you were created to be. Because why? It's nothing but pure peace and balance there. Now, where there's no peace and there's no balance, then that means there's something internally and externally not connecting. This society has created a air of distrust towards each other, that we can't trust each other, just do basic functions that we are good at or we're supposed to be doing. So what I'm saying, brothers, get your stuff together. Everything else will fall into place. Get your affairs in order, your financial affairs in order. This is the whole purpose of me reading this. God went to the masculine. Hey, do these things so that you can protect your family. And of course, his sons had to cooperate. His sons' wives had to cooperate. They all had a role here. They didn't go into detail in order for all of this to go to work. And it also shows you that why are we kicking our kids out as soon as they finish high school or finish college or whatever? Why are we throwing them to the wolves? Because in here, they all remained under one roof. They in the same area, creating wealth, creating protection. See, this society is this antichrist mentality. Let's close this out. This antichrist mentality of a system has got us thinking that as soon as our children get old enough, kick them to the curb, let them figure it out and get it together themselves. That's not what happened here. They all worked together. They all were under the same roof. Because they didn't say his sons were righteous. They said Noah was righteous. And because he was righteous and found favor in God's eyes, his family did. The main leader, the alpha, had favor. He did his part, and that spread to his family. The reason why we're having hard times, because our fathers and us as fathers haven't done right. And that's filtering down to our children. Can't you see it? Can you see it? If you look at generations before you, how they behaving and how they doing it, look at it. Not following these commands. They didn't go into detail about whether his wife was doing right and all of this and that. They came to him. He was responsible. And isn't that how society does? They hold the masculine, the male, responsible for everything, no matter what. And all these guys complaining, oh, y'all make it look at us. We get the brunt of everything, and that's the way it is. And it's always been like that. So what is your deal? You need to accept that responsibility and do what you got to do. It's a thankless job. And move on. Guess what? Because you will be rewarded. You will be rewarded with the right children, right? Because you'll pick the right mate. So we haven't been taught how to pick women. We haven't been taught how to pick women. Haven't been taught how to pick men. See, this generation of women have been taught, oh, be independent, have this and do this, create this whole independent mindset. And here you got women running homes and they're stressed out and can't, finances is jacked up. Kids are hardly getting along. Why? Because where's the masculine? And vice versa. We have to work together, and we're not supposed to be having this household over here and that house. We're supposed to be all united as one, pooling our funds together to insulate our wealth as one. That's the recipe for building a nation. That's the recipes for what I just read is a recipe for building wealth for generations to come. The recipe is in there. It shows you how it's supposed to be done. How it's passed on. The firstborn son gets passed on to everything, and then he's supposed to be responsible and be he becomes the alpha of the family. Continue it on. It's supposed to keep passing on and on and on and on. Unlimited wealth. But this society tells y'all, get an education, go to school, go get a job. Don't create wealth. Create wealth for someone else. What do you think those wealthy people that have businesses are doing? They pass that on to their children. And anything that they acquire, they're passing on through trust. Now, what's 7:59? Let's read this one since I'm on it. I have to keep going on this. Let me take a sip on this. Oh. Ooh-wee. Let's share the screen. What is an exemption trust? Let's before I do that, let me see what y'all talking about down there in the chat. Brother A. White said, I sent out Friday, you should be receiving it soon. I track it, it didn't reach you yet. I know, brother. You see, that's one of my success stories there. That's a success story showing you that the recruitment process does work. Cryptic. I know what you're talking about, brother. It did come to me. I did. It didn't get to me. It went to my box, and it's on its way to me. But I see that you did it. What is an exemption trust? An exemption trust is a trust designed to drastically reduce or eliminate federal estate taxes for married couples' estate. This type of estate plan is established as a what? Irrevocable trust that will hold the assets of the first member of the couple to die. An exemption trust does not pass the assets along to the surviving spouse. So what happens is one of the spouses pass, all of that stuff that he owns or she owns goes into this trust, irrevocable trust. So now it's exempt from estate taxes because it didn't go to the actual spouse. Now the spouse gets to control it and have a benefit of it, but technically it's not owned by her. As its name suggests, an irrevocable trust cannot be changed or invalidated without the permission of the trust beneficiary. So a trust, an irrevocable trust can be changed if the beneficiary agrees to do it. A primary benefit of an irrevocable trust is that it removes assets from the grantor's taxable estate, thereby diminishing the estate's tax liability. Assets in an irrevocable trust could include one or more of the following: cash, investments, a house, life insurance policies, a business, precious gems, fine arts, or antiques. Do y'all realize y'all should be having life insurance policies where the trust owns it? So whenever something happens, that trust gets those assets, and not all that money going to the surviving spouse or the children where they get taxed on it. This is how they getting us, because we haven't built our ark, aka trust. You have no protection. And the exemption trust helps to reduce the married couple's estate taxes by placing their assets in the trust after the first member of the couple dies. Exemption trust is established as an irrevocable trust, so they cannot be changed or invalidated without the permission of the trust beneficiary. The surviving spouse still holds certain assets rights to the assets, even though the assets are held in the trust. How an exemption trust works. An exemption trust is a popular estate planning tool for affluent married couples. They try to say you got to be rich to do this. Bull crap. The primary goal of an exemption trust, which is also known as a bypass trust or credit shelter trust, is to mitigate a couple's federal estate tax liability. With an exemption trust, the surviving spouse does not inherit the assets of the first member of the couple to pass away. This makes its provisions very different than that of many wills. The surviving spouse is bypassed and the deceased assets are held in a trust. When the surviving spouse dies, the assets are distributed to the trust beneficiary, typically their children if they had any. Because if the surviving spouse did not inherit the assets directly, the beneficiaries are not held responsible for any estate taxes when they receive the trust assets after the surviving spouse dies. Another benefit of an exemption trust is that before the surviving spouse passes away, they still retain several access rights to the trust assets during the remainder of their lifetime. For example, a surviving spouse can tap into both the trust income and its principal to pay for certain medical educational expenses. See, I just gave y'all exemption trust. That's another trust, form of an irrevocable trust. Why? See, y'all got to start building y'all shelters and doing the trust. Now, if you really want to know how to do this, go to akimel.com and join my membership. Right now, it's $19.95. It was $1,500. The reason why it's $19.95 because everything that I offer is in there for the most part to my members. All the older stuff, the newer stuff is not quite in there. It'll eventually get in there. Oh, but you best believe it's about to double in price because what I'm about to do next, offer more stuff. It's gonna be what I have in that membership is really worth around $5,000 or more. Yes, people are paying that kind of money for junk and ain't not getting any results. I mean, we're showing you how to set up, get your trust together, how to manage your estate, how to recoup all of the stuff you did in the previous tax years. People are getting recoupments this year over the last 8 months as much as 230,000 was the top number. Come on. What group are you guys attached to now or have been attached to that you're seeing that type of results? None. And I have the checks. I got screenshots of them redacted, but I don't put them on YouTube. I put them in my membership and show people it's real. That's what the brother was talking about right there. That's what he's talking about right there. It's real. So if you scared to pay your $19.95 now, and you feel like it ain't worth you having, in the monies I'm talking about, they people are paying off mortgages. While some of y'all trying to discharge your mortgages, fighting the courts to keep your house, they're discharged. They don't have to worry about that. They ain't in no courts. They're not in any courts trying to worry about somebody take their house. They did the proper thing the right way, and they got the money and paid off their mortgages. What more can you ask? That right there is a game changer and a life changer. When you have a mortgage that's 100% paid off. See, and just believe it wasn't no shortcut. It took work to get there. They had to put in work. They had to build their art through the methods and the teachings in the membership. And right now, I'm fine-tuning things. I know some of y'all in the membership, Hakeem, he's been kind of ghost lately. No, because I'm fine-tuning. I'm sharpening things, making it easier. Like I'm fine-tuning so that I can go back over everything from the beginning, start from A, get back to Z, and refresh all of the information. Take out things that's not necessary, add in things that is necessary. Now, over the last year, I have been building towards things like like I told you, my vehicle's in the trust. My all of my bills are in the trust. Now, the benefit of that is, guess what? A trust is basically a business. So that I get to write those expenses off because it's in the trust name and credited to the EIN number of the trust. That's why you have to build your arc. The reason why you're losing money is because you don't have an arc set up. You don't have a shelter set up. You've been taught, oh, just make your W-2 money, put it in a savings account that gives you absolutely no returns on that. Keep working to the day you die, or to the day you retire and then you die. This is what we've been programmed to believe. And I'm telling you, it's such a that is that existence is is highly restricted, and it keeps you from having the wealth and the generational wealth that God really designed us to have. All right, I'm trying to see. Do I have anything else I want now? I'm gonna drink that. Do I have to say anything else? Anything else before I shut it down? So again, if you haven't joined my membership, I suggest you do. If you've been thinking about it, get on it. Okay? Get on it because it's going up. It's going up. It's going up. I've been undercharging for this thing. And with the value that I'm seeing people getting, come on, man. All right, y'all. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to y'all. Y'all have a good rest of your evening.